Int. Reception area, morning. The door creaks open. Hailey steps in, a moment's hesitation in her movement. She's in her early 20s, with chestnut brown shoulder-length wavy hair, pale freckled skin, and wide hazel eyes that carry both resilience and quiet exhaustion. Her figure is curvy, eye-catching. She's dressed in a pale blue tight-fitting blouse with a deep U-shaped neckline and a high-waisted beige skirt that hugs her hips modestly but attractively. A small leather folder is clutched tightly in her hand. She looks around. The space is quiet, warm, filled with the scent of fresh paper and coffee. She almost whispers to herself, "Hailey." Softly. This is it. From behind the desk, an older woman glances up. Miss Carter, in her mid-60s, with silver-streaked hair tied into a neat bun, looks every bit the no-nonsense receptionist with a subtle heart. Her eyes assess Hailey gently. "Miss Carter, you're here for the copy editor position?" Hailey: "Yes. I know I'm a little early. I didn't want to be late." Miss Carter: "Early shows promise. He likes that." She gestures to a small seating area. Hailey sits, smoothing her skirt nervously. The camera lingers on her fingers, tapping her folder, a hint of chipped nail polish, worn-out shoes. Quiet signs of someone who's been holding things together. Miss Carter observes silently. There's something about this girl, like a memory long forgotten, or a face seen in a dream. Miss Carter: "Would you like some tea, dear?" Hailey: "Oh, no, thank you. I'm okay." A beat passes. Hailey glances toward the office hallway. Hailey: "Is he? Mr. Walker?" Miss Carter: "Yes. Jacob Walker. Publisher. Bit of a storm cloud on some days, but honest. Brilliant. He built all this from a one-room press in his basement." Hailey: "That's inspiring." The rain outside starts to pick up slightly. Hailey turns her face toward the sound, momentarily lost in the rhythm of it. Flash cut to a memory. Hailey, younger, maybe 16, scribbling in a tattered notebook beneath a flickering gas station light while it rains. Her mother's voice in the background, "Dreams don't feed mouths, Hail." Miss Carter: "You okay?" Hailey: "Yes. Just long morning." A door opens down the hall. Footsteps. A tall man in his early 40s appears, Jacob Walker. He's got disheveled dark hair, deep-set eyes, a slight permanent frown, and a presence that fills the room before he speaks. Worn denim jeans, rolled sleeves, notebook in one hand, coffee in the other. He notices Hailey. Their eyes meet. There's a pause, long enough to feel like something shifts. Jacob, looking at Ms. Carter, then back to Hailey. "You're early." Hailey: "Yes, sir. I wanted to." Jacob nods abruptly. "Come in." He turns without waiting. Hailey stands quickly, gripping her folder, then follows. As she walks past, Ms. Carter watches her. Something unsettles her. The resemblance. The timing. Something feels familiar. Int. Jacob's office, continuous. The door closes behind them. Jacob moves to his desk, sets down his coffee, doesn't immediately sit. Jacob. Interview tone. "Tell me something you've written that no one else has read." Hailey hesitates, surprised. Hailey: There's a short story. Never published." Jacob: "Don't tell me what it's about. Tell me why you wrote it." He leans forward. That intense stare again. Hailey. Quiet, honest. Because I needed to say something. And no one else was listening. That answer stops him. For a moment, his demeanor changes, a flash of something emotional flickers through his guarded expression. He sits down, flipping open a notepad. His voice softens just slightly. Jacob. All right, Ms. Hailey. Monroe. Hailey Monroe. Another pause. Jacob writes the name. Then, a visible flick of his pen, a second glance at her. Jacob. Let's begin. Hailey sits across from Jacob's desk, her hand still tightly gripping the leather folder in her lap. Her posture is upright but cautious, like someone trained to expect disappointment but daring to hope anyway. The lighting from the window casts a soft halo over her chestnut hair. Jacob reclines back in his chair, arms crossed. He's watching her, not just what she says, but how she says it. His eyes are unreadable, but not unkind. Jacob. So, tell me, what made you think a place like this was right for you? Hailey. Softly, but clear. Because words saved me. I think stories have the power to hold people together. And your publishing house, it's the only one left in this city that still prints by hand. That means something. Jacob raises an eyebrow. He didn't expect that. Jacob. You've done your research. Hailey. Nods, a small smile. Only for the jobs that matter. He almost smiles back, but doesn't. Jacob. What do you think makes a good editor? Hailey. Listening. Not just to grammar or structure, but to the heart of what the writer's trying to say. Sometimes they don't even know it themselves. Jacob. And you think you can hear that? Hailey looks down for a second. Her thumb brushes over the edge of her folder. Hailey. I have to. It's what kept me going when I had nothing else. Reading other people's truths gave mine a place to breathe. Jacob doesn't respond right away. There's something about the way she speaks, like every word comes from a deeper wound that's been dressed neatly but hasn't quite healed. He flips open a manuscript on the desk, scribbles something with a fountain pen. Jacob. Handing it over. Edit this first page. Pencil only. No pressure, just let me see how you see. Hailey takes the paper carefully, her fingers brushing his for a split second. A static charge, subtle but noticeable. She opens the folder, revealing a mechanical pencil and her own small editing kit. As she begins to read, the camera lingers on her expression, shifting, calculating, internal. Her eyes flicker from line to line. She leans in slightly, making quick, deliberate marks. Jacob. That's your process? Hailey. Eyes first. Then ears. Then heart. Jacob. Most people go with grammar first. Hailey. That comes later. The bones matter, but if the story's heart isn't beating, it doesn't matter how perfect the skeleton is. That silences him. He leans back, looking at her not just as a candidate anymore, but as something else. Someone unexpected. Cut to a clock on the wall. 10 minutes have passed. Hailey finishes her last mark, puts the pencil down, and slides the paper back to Jacob. He looks it over, small edits, but impactful. A sentence moved. A phrase softened. A word swapped for one that somehow feels more truthful. He reads in silence. Jacoboo. You didn't just fix it. You felt it. Hailey. I think stories know what they want to be. Sometimes they just need someone to guide them home. Jacob's jaw tightened slightly. That word, home, hit something in him. He sets the page down, leans forward. Jacob. You're not like most applicants. Hailey. Most jobs don't feel like this. Beat. Jacob stands abruptly, pacing slightly. His mind is spinning, not just about her edits, but something deeper. Something he's not ready to name. Jacob. You remind me of someone. Hailey tilts her head, curious. Hailey. A former editor? Jacob. No, someone I should have known better. Hailey doesn't pry, but there's a flicker of curiosity in her gaze. He turns to the bookshelf and pulls down a leather-bound collection of essays. Jacob. Take this. Read the 3rd chapter. If you still want the job after that, come back tomorrow. Same time. Hailey takes the book, surprised. Hailey. No paperwork? Jacob. We'll get there. Their eyes meet again. The energy in the room is different now. Like something has shifted into motion. A silent recognition of something neither of them quite understands yet. Hailey. Thank you, Mr. Walker. Jacob. Jacob. Call me Jacob. She nods, tucking the book into her folder. As she walks toward the door, he watches her go, something inside him stirred, something long buried now breathing again. Just before she exits. Jacob. Softly, like a reflex. Hailey? She turns back. Jacob. That short story you mentioned. The one no one's read. Hailey. Yes? Jacob. I'd like to. A gentle smile. She nods. Hailey. Tomorrow. She exits. The door clicks shut. Jacob remains seated, staring at the closed door with a look caught between memory and something new. Jacob remains seated in silence. The door is still gently vibrating from where she just closed it. Her presence seems to linger in the room, like perfume or unfinished dialogue. He runs a hand over his face, then leans forward, taking the edited page again. He studies her pencil marks. They aren't just corrections. They're interpretations. She didn't just fix, she understood. His fingers hover over one of her notations. Let the reader breathe here. The weight of this moment deserves silence. Jacob reads the line aloud, softly. Jacob. Deserves silence. Pause. She sees the quiet things. His brow furrows. That line. That language. It reminds him of someone. A tone he hasn't read in years. He spins his desk drawer open and pulls out an old, weathered folder. Inside it, a set of handwritten short stories. Raw, unpolished, but achingly beautiful. He thumbs through the pages. Close on. One story in particular, untitled, unsigned. But he remembers. It was from someone who submitted without contact info, over 8 years ago. Someone who disappeared after one mailed manuscript. He flips to a paragraph and reads aloud. Jacob. And I write because it's the only way I know how to whisper my pain out loud. His eyes widen. That phrasing. It's almost identical to what Hailey said earlier in the interview. He sits back, stunned. Could it be? Is she? He looks over at the book he handed her, the old collection of essays. He knows what's in chapter 3. A story he wrote himself. One he never published anywhere else. It wasn't an assignment, it was a confession. Flashback, int. Jacob's apartment, 8 years earlier, night. A younger Jacob sits alone at a desk. Candlelight flickers across paper. He's scribbling in frustration, crossing out lines. He's going through heartbreak, it's written across his face. A photograph sits beside him, a woman with soft features and a child's hand in hers. He speaks softly to no one. Younger Jacob. If I could go back, I'd tell her not to leave. I'd tell her I needed her to stay. He tears the page, then stops. He starts over. Back to present, int. Jacob's office. Jacob rubs his temples. There's a deep ache behind his eyes. This isn't just another candidate. Something about her presence cracked something in him, memory, maybe even regret. Int. Reception, same time. Ms. Carter watches through the glass as Hailey disappears into the rain, clutching the old essay book under her arm. She frowns. A thread is tugging at the edge of her thoughts. She opens the receptionist logbook and scrolls back to an old entry from years ago. Her finger stops on the name. Guest, Hailey Monroe. Accompanied by E. Meredith Monroe. Purpose, manuscript drop-off. Her face stills. Ms. Carter. Softly to herself. It's her? She stands slowly, walks toward Jacob's door, but hesitates. Then, she returns to her desk, unsure whether this truth should be spoken, or if it's fate's turn to speak first. Int. Hailey's small apartment, later that night. Hailey sits on her second-hand couch, curled up under a frayed blanket, the old essay book in her lap. She flips open to chapter 3. Her eyes move across the page slowly. The words pierce her. She left without goodbye, only her favorite cup sitting on the kitchen sink. I never washed it. I couldn't. It was the last thing that still knew her touch. Tears slowly fill her eyes. She turns the page, hand trembling slightly. The story keeps going, deeper, rawer. I wonder if she ever knew how much her silence screamed at me. A tear falls on the page. Her lips part slightly, whispering the truth she's only just beginning to believe. Hailey. You wrote this about Mom? A knock at her apartment door interrupts. She jolts. Wipes her eyes. Opens it to find no one, just a brown paper package on the floor. A return address, Walker and Press. She opens it carefully. Inside, her own handwritten short story. The one she submitted anonymously years ago, with new notes in the margins. And a post-it. I remember this story. I never forgot it. Neither should you. J.W. Her hand clutches the paper. She sinks to the floor. The weight of the connection, the realization, and the feeling of finally being seen breaks through her guarded shell. The front door clicks softly shut behind Jacob as he steps into his modest home. It's cozy, filled with old books, warm amber lamps, and memories packed in dust and silence. He loosens his tie, tosses his jacket over the old armchair, and heads to the kitchen. Clothes on. A mug by the sink. Chipped, ceramic. Faded floral design. He picks it up gently, the one he hasn't used in years. Jacob. To himself, softly. You'd have liked her. He places it down again. Slowly walks to his study. The rain tapping on the window seems louder here, like it's speaking. Int. Jacob's study, moments later. Stacks of manuscripts. Wooden shelves packed with stories untold. On his desk lies Hailey's edited page and the anonymous manuscript from years ago, now side by side. He flips Hailey's page again. runs his fingers over her pencil notes. Pause here. Let grief settle before the light tries to rise. He glances at the old manuscript, then back at Hailey's note. A line from her old story echoes in his head. The truth doesn't knock. It just walks in when the door's already open. His face tightens. Jacob. Quietly, pained. She has her mother's voice. He opens the bottom drawer. Pulls out a photograph, long buried under contracts and time. Close on. A younger Meredith Monroe, Hailey's mother. Kind eyes, long hair, and a quiet sadness behind her smile. She's holding a toddler. Hailey. Jacob leans back in his chair, the weight of memory pressing hard on his chest. Flashback, int. Cafe, 18 years ago. Jacob and Meredith sit at a small table. Coffee between them. Laughter. Connection. But also distance, something unresolved. Meredith. I can't stay, Jacob. You're chasing ink, and I have a little girl who needs more than words. Jacob. What about us? Meredith. There is no us. Not now. Not in this life. She rises. He watches her walk away, Hailey's tiny hand curled around hers. Back to present, int. Jacob's study. Jacob's eyes sting. He sets the photo down carefully and leans forward, burying his face in his hands. Jacob. Whispers. You never told her, did you? The manuscript sits silently beside him, full of clues she never meant to give, but did anyway. Int. Hailey's apartment, same night. Hailey lies awake in bed, the book still on her chest. She clutches the return story, rereading Jacob's note again and again. She picks up her phone. Fingers hover over the contact form on Walker and presses cite, then stop. She puts it down. Instead, she opens her laptop and begins to type. Her face is lit by the screen's soft glow. Her eyes are full of something between fear and hope. Dear Jacob, you probably already know who I am. But if not, maybe that's better, for now. Her voice fades into narration over slow shots of Jacob sitting by the window, book in hand. Int. Jacob's home, later. He reads the email. Quiet. Thoughtful. Every line confirms it, this is Meredith's daughter. The very girl he once watched disappear with her mother. The one he never searched for because he was too afraid of the answer. Email, VO. My mother never said much about you. But her stories always had someone in the background. A figure in the rain. A man who helped her believe she was more than what the world called her. I think that man was you. Jacob exhales shakily. The past has returned. Not in anger, but in an invitation. An invitation to finish a story that began with silence. Hailey sits at her kitchen table, messy hair, oversized sweater hanging loosely off one shoulder, hands curled around a now-cold mug of tea. Her laptop is open, the screen showing the last few lines of the email she sent Jacob at midnight. She hasn't slept. Papers are spread across the table, her notes, his manuscript, her mother's old journal that she always kept locked away, until last night. She flips through it again. Close on. A torn page, dated years ago. I never told him. Not because he didn't deserve to know, but because I couldn't bear to see it in his eyes, the weight of choosing something he never knew he lost. Hailey's thumb traces the ink, faded but raw. Hailey. Quietly, to herself. Why didn't you tell him, Mom? There's no answer. Only the soft creak of her apartment settling around her. She rises, goes to her small bookshelf, and pulls out the draft she's never let anyone read. The one story she wrote about her mother, fictionalized, layered, but honest. She presses it against her chest for a moment. Then, like a decision clicking into place, she grabs her bag and the manuscript, slips on her boots, and heads out the door. Extension, Walker and Press Building, late morning. A grey sky blankets the city. Hailey stands across the street, staring at the glass door where Jacob's name is etched beneath the logo. She hesitates. Bites her lip. The manuscript is clutched in her arms like a shield. Then, she crosses. Int. Walker and Press lobby, moments later. The same receptionist from before looks up, surprised. Ms. Carter. Oh, you're back. Hailey forces a smile. Hailey. Is Mr. Walker in? Ms. Carter. He's not expecting anyone today, but let me check. As she buzzes through, Hailey looks around. Her eyes land on the wall of framed covers, all edited by Jacob. One of them, a novel her mother once read aloud. The stars are not dead things. They're memories that burned long enough to be remembered. She steps closer. Jacob sits behind his desk. Same tweed vest. Same distant expression. But today, his eyes are softer. He stands as Hailey walks in. She doesn't speak. Just walks slowly to his desk, places the thick manuscript down, her story. Hailey. This is the story I never read aloud. Jacob looks at the title. The cover page reads, The Distance Between Raindrops by Hailey Monroe. He runs his fingers over the name. Silence fills the room like a second presence. Jacob. Softly. Why bring it now? Hailey. Because you deserve to read the part my mother never let you hear. She doesn't sit. Doesn't wait for an answer. Just turns and begins to leave. But before she reaches the door. Jacob. She loved the rain. Hailey freezes. Jacob. She said it made her feel like the sky was feeling with her. Hailey turns, eyes misted. Hailey. Then you know how every page of this story ends. Jacob nods. His fingers grip the manuscript like it's something sacred. As Hailey walks out, he sits. Flips open the first page. Begins to read. The past no longer sits in silence. It speaks. Fade out. Clapperboard scene 6 echoes on the page. Approx 25:00, 30:00. Setting, Jacob's office, transitioning into his memories as he reads Hailey's manuscript. The emotional tone becomes reflective, powerful, and deeply personal. Int. Jacob's office, midday. The city hums quietly outside the tall windows. Jacob sits at his desk, completely still except for the slow turn of pages in Hailey's manuscript. His reading glasses rest low on his nose. His brow is furrowed, not in confusion, but in recognition. The prose is hauntingly familiar. Her words, Hailey's voice, float above the page with aching clarity. He never knew she watched the rain fall from the hospital window and wondered if she'd see it again with him beside her. Jacob leans back slowly, the manuscript now resting in his lap. His gaze lifts, unfocused, eyes distant as though seeing something that isn't in the room. A younger Jacob sits beside a pale, beautiful woman on a hospital bed, Hailey's mother. Her face is fragile, but her eyes still hold a sparkle. Rain taps gently on the window behind them. Young Jacob. I should have brought that book you loved. Hailey's MOM. It's okay. I remember the ending. He holds her hand, visibly trying to stay composed. She reaches up, brushing a strand of hair behind his ear. Hailey's mom. Don't look so serious, Jacob. You edit stories for a living, but this one, you don't get to change the ending. Tears form in his eyes. Young Jacob. But I would. If I could. Hailey's mom. That's why I never gave you the last chapter. She leans back on the pillow. The rain outside thickens. Jacob wipes his face, his cheeks damp without realizing. He turns another page of Hailey's manuscript. She kept one last thing, his name, written in the margin of a book no one else ever opened. His hand trembles. He opens his desk drawer and pulls out an old hardcover novel, faded, well-loved. Inside the back cover, scribbled in ink nearly vanished by time. To Jacob, when the rain returns, remember me. Hailey sits cross-legged on her floor, surrounded by scattered drafts, her mother's old books, and the emptiness that follows vulnerability. Her phone buzzes. A text from Jacob. I finished the story. It didn't end, it opened. Hailey stares at the message, overwhelmed. Then, a second text arrives. Would you come in tomorrow? I'd like to talk about publishing it. Her hands tremble slightly as she places the phone down. She walks to the window, the same one her mother once stood beside, and watches as raindrops begin to trace paths down the glass. Jacob stands under the awning of a bookstore, umbrella in hand, the manuscript tucked beneath his arm. He looks up at the clouds, then down at the pavement, where the rain leaves ripples in the puddles. A slow smile crosses his face. The stories we hide often hold the truths we're searching for. Soft jazz plays from a radio on the shelf. The rain has stopped, but everything outside still glistens, as if the world has been washed clean. Hailey steps inside slowly, carrying a thin, neatly bound copy of her manuscript. She wears a pale blue blouse with subtle embroidery at the hem, her mother's. It clings softly, shaped by the breeze outside. She looks more confident than before, but something vulnerable still lives in her eyes. Jacob stands when she enters. He doesn't rush. His face holds warmth, and something more, gratitude. Jacob. You found a voice, and you used it like a compass. Hailey smiles gently and walks to the desk, placing the bound copy beside his own notes. Hailey. I think I was writing to find her. But I found more than that. She glances at the shelf beside them, a photo of a young woman by a seaside cliff. Her mother, perhaps. Jacob follows her gaze, then returns his eyes to her. Jacob. This isn't just a book. It's a mirror. People will see themselves in it. And maybe heal something they didn't know was broken. A quiet pause. Then Hailey asks, almost whispering. Hailey. Why didn't you tell me you knew her? Jacob exhales slowly. Jacob. I thought I was honoring her silence. But reading your words, I realized I was only preserving my own fear. He walks over to the window, his voice quieter. Jacob. She once told me, a story never dies if someone dares to carry the echo forward. Hailey walks up beside him, shoulder to shoulder. Hailey. Then maybe we carry it together now. Their eyes meet. No dramatic music, no grand confessions. Just something deep and unspoken. Extension Street outside the publishing house, later. Hailey exits the building into soft morning light. A new energy surrounds her, a sense of peace. She clutches the final draft of her manuscript in one hand, her mother's pendant in the other. She notices a girl sitting alone on the bench near the gate, holding a worn notebook and looking uncertain. Hailey pauses, then walks over. Hailey. First chapter? The girl nods shyly. Hailey. Soft smile. Just write it like you're remembering something that hasn't happened yet. The girl looks surprised, but nods. Hailey walks away slowly. The wind brushes her hair back. As she turns the corner, the light catches her face. For the first time, she doesn't look like someone trying to hold herself together. She looks like someone who finally understands.